Hey, what's up, guys? Here on the Fire Sports Pod, where everything we do here is fire. You guys know the drill. So let's get right to the show I have for you guys today. We are currently on TikTok Live right now, as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. This is going to be posted to, as well as our YouTube. So go check it out. What's up, Aiden, here in the TikTok Live? Appreciate all the likes, my guy. Don't forget to share, like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. Let's move from there. First up, we're going to be going into some deep segments we have for you guys today. We got a couple good ones we're going to be talking about. First up, the first thing we're going to go, the NBA rumors that the 76ers would offer Jimmy Butler a max contract extension if they pull off the trade with the Heat. But Pat Riley, however, has said that the Heat will not trade Butler this offseason. So we're going to take a deep dive into that, see where moves could be made to see if the 76ers could get back Jimmy Butler. As we know, Jimmy Butler and Joel Embiid are very good friends, and they were on the same team a couple years back, but then they broke it up. So we'll see if they can get that back and going. So that's our first NBA talk we're going to go into, and then we're going to move from those things. We're going to go into ESPN. So CBS Sports, actually, Dynasty Fantasy Football Quarterback Rankings. Can Justin Herbert's output might dip under Jim Harbaugh, and more Health's updated Dynasty Quarterback Rankings. We'll be going over that. And then moving on from there, we're going to head back to the NBA with ESPN. And why do I think, why would Stephen A. Smith view Jaylen Brown as the Celtics' most important player? And on top of that, why do I think Kyrie and Luka's performance was just a bad game? As well as Stephen A. Smith explains his thoughts here on First Take and stuff like that. But I'm going to go into those questions and answer those for you guys, as well as the NHL and NBA brackets and where we're at so far. So we got a pretty packed show here today. I'm going to try to get this done relatively shortly. So let's get right into it. So first up, guys, like I said, we're going to be going over the NBA with the Jimmy Butler situation. Let's get right into it. Aiden here on the TikTok Live said Butler to Philly would be great again with Maxey there. Hell yeah, it would, especially with the way Maxey was playing. It's absolutely ridiculous on how Maxey was playing there so far this year. You saw it in the playoffs against the Knicks. He was incredible. So let's get right into it. Now, here we go. 5 years ago, if you guys don't know, the Philadelphia 76ers moved Jimmy Butler to the Miami Heat in a sign-in trade, a decision that would come to regret now that the Sixers are plotting for a potential reunion. Should Butler force a trade from the Heat this summer, the Sixers would not only be interested, they would offer Butler a max extension. And that's the big thing. That's the huge thing there. What I think Philly would need to give up, they can't give up Maxey. I don't think they would go for. I don't think Miami would want Maxey. But if for me, Jimmy Butler trade like that, Maxey would probably have to do something. It might be Tobias Harris. I would say maybe they got to give up Tobias Harris. Might have to give up even. It's going to be hard. They kind of have to do a swap. It's got to be a player that that the Heat like, and the player that Philly likes, which is Jimmy Butler, and maybe a pick. But it really doesn't seem like Philly has enough to trade and get Butler. Like I said, this is just a synopsis. Could it be Harris, Oubre, and a pick or two? That is possible, Aiden. I don't see that. Hey, Victor, what's up, man? I could see that, but Oubre's getting older. Tobias Harris is not the same. Yeah, you could go 2 picks, but we'll see. I'm not so crazy about that. Now, Sixers would not only be interested, they would offer Butler a max extension, according to Philadelphia Inquirer. Of course, any such deal is a long way off, and there's a number of moving parts involved. Here's a quick rundown of what would need to transpire before this would even be possible. The Sixers can't sign Paul George in free agency. So let's just get that off the board. The Sixers have just about $65 million in cap space this summer, which is more than enough to add a max player. It's not secret that they are interested in Paul George, who has a player option for next season and has not signed an extension with the Los Angeles Clippers. According to The Ringer, the Clippers have not offered George more than 3-year, $152.4 million deal. If he hits unrestricted free agencies, the Sixers could give him a 4-year, $212 million max contract with more money and a chance to team up with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. That seems pretty fair. Be enough to lure George away from California. Time will tell. You got to go back to the Windy City. Cold. You living your life in California. That's off. Jimmy's too old for that package. Doesn't make sense for Philly. Philly just has nothing to trade, so it would be hard. Yeah, like I said, it's just an if. They said they're trying to do it. Obviously, Joel Embiid likes Jimmy Butler as a friendship, and they played really well together. But Philly kind of messed up the bag in not keeping him. So that's what's up, Casters? How you doing, man? Appreciate you joining on to the live. Now, if the Sixers can't acquire George, they'll have to look elsewhere, and that's where Butler comes in. Butler would have to force the issue in Miami. Jimmy Butler is under contract for $48.8 million next season, then has a player option for $52.4 million in 2025 and 2026 per reports. He's seeking a 2-year, $113 million max extension from Miami. Pat Riley and co. do not seem keen on paying him that much. We don't have to do that for a year, Riley said during his end of the season press conference. No, you can't use that. Go in the room and use that ball. You can't use that. That's the indoor ball. Go over there and get the ball inside. End of the season press conference. We have not discussed that entirely right now, but we have to look at making a kind of commitment. That's a big decision on our part to commit to those kinds of resources unless you have somebody who's going to be there and available every single night. That's the truth. That was from Riley himself. If the Heat are unwilling to meet Butler's price, would he be willing to make things messy? We've seen him do that in the past, but so far he's saying he wants to stay in Miami. So there you go. You kind of got your answer right there. He kind of wants to stay in Miami. I mean, who wouldn't? Who'd want to go to Philly? Not me. He says, I feel at home, man. Butler said earlier this month, I really care about the city. I really care about the people in the city. Miami has embraced me. They've wanted me to bring them something, win an NBA title. They haven't done since LeBron, D-Wade, and Chris Bosh in 2013, and I want to do that. So as soon as I get this knee back right, I'm right back on they butt, and everybody knows it. The Heat would have decided to trade Butler. While Riley did not seem enthusiastic about giving Butler a big extension, he also isn't enthusiastic about getting rid of him. Asked if the Heat would consider trading Butler this summer, Riley was short and to the point, no. Is there a tipping point in their relationship with Butler where they could change their mind? That remains to be seen. All indications right now are that the Heat will not entertain trading Butler, but the possibility cannot be ruled out given his contract situation and Riley's comments about an extension. If the Heat ever get there and the Sixers haven't already signed George, they will be ready to pounce. So again, we will see if this actually comes to fruition, but right now it's kind of ways away. Butler hates the 76ers while he was there the first time. Yeah, but he did like playing with Joel Embiid, and they did have success. He just doesn't like the owner and the coach at that time. But I do think that he would be willing to go back there just looking at the team. They got Buddy Hield. You got Joel Embiid. You got Jimmy Butler. And you have Tyrese Maxey. That would be a pretty good four right there. And then you add a big another a power forward or some sort. No. LeBron is not going to Philly. Not even close. If that's what you're asking, Cash, LeBron's not going to Philly. It's not happening. I don't think LeBron is leaving the Lakers. I would be very surprised if he does leave the Lakers. I think he's got everything set up. He's got his house. He's got his kids. He's got his son, Bryce. LeBron is not heading to the Suns, Aiden. That's not even happening. Sorry, buddy. It's not going to happen. LeBron is not heading to the Suns. If he heads to the Suns, his whole thing, if he heads to the Suns, his entire legacy might be tarnished because he's trying to just win a championship. If he stays in LA, he'll be fine. He goes to the Suns. I'm the biggest LeBron fan. I'm telling you, not a lot of people are going to care if he goes to the Suns because he's teaming up with Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. You got LeBron James, and you got Bronny. That's going to be really ridiculous. 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 I don't want to see that. I'm serious. I don't want to see that as a LeBron fan, as a Lakers fan. I don't want to see that. That is just going to be utterly disgusting and retarded. I don't think it works. I really don't. You got too many people that need the ball in Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. You saw it this year. They couldn't do shit in the playoffs. On top of that, you add LeBron. It's not going to work. I'm telling you, it's not going to work. KD and LeBron are not going to play together. It's not going to work. It'll never work. Trade Beal for some role players? Okay, maybe. But again, I don't think Kevin Durant and LeBron are going to work. I don't. I don't. I've never seen it going to work. I don't think. Why do you think they play always on opposite teams when it comes to All-Star game? They never play really on the same team. It's a rarity that I've seen them play on the same team. One's been in the West, one's been in the East. Well, Aiden said after next year's Lakers need to get younger or they're going to be the Nets with no picks or young guys. Yeah, you're right. But again, that's after next year. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition. But I don't think the Suns work out really well. What do you think the Grizzlies need to do? The Grizzlies, it's a simple answer. Ja Morant needs to stay healthy and out of trouble, and I think you guys will be perfectly fine. You guys need to maybe add another big to help out Jared Jackson because Clark always gets hurt. And then Steven Adams has been hurt for like 2 years, it seems. But I do think that the Grizzlies would be fine as long as Ja Morant stays healthy. They like I just said, Aiden, Grizzlies need to be healthy and they got to get bigger. They need a big. Steven Adams has been out for 2 years. If he comes back and he's good, but he's not even there, and I don't think he's there anymore. Is Steven Adams there? Adams is on the Rockets, yeah. So there we go. So he's not even there. They need a big to help out Jaren Jackson. He can't do everything. He needs another one. Clark is not a guy that's going to help out Jaren Jackson. He gets hurt every year. He's not going to work out. But they need another guy. I don't know why they got rid of Adams. I thought they should have kept him, especially for next year. But who knows? But that's what I think the Grizzlies need to do. Cassius, they just need to stay healthy and they need to get bigger, like Aiden also said as well. If they do that, they'll be perfectly fine. Now we're going to move on from the NBA. We're going to go to some dynasty fantasy quarterbacks. Right now, Justin Herbert did move in this month's dynasty quarterback rankings update. He was QB9 a month ago, and now he is still QB9 below. He was QB8 a year ago, so he hasn't actually moved that much since then either. That doesn't mean that I feel confident in his ranking or his ability to produce top 10 fantasy seasons anytime soon because of the fact you got Jim Harbaugh, new coach, back in the NFL yet again. You don't know how he's going to answer the things. But it is what it is. Cassius, you said you think they have a chance at the championship if he does stay healthy. We're going to take a pause on the NFL. We're going to answer Cassius's comment here. I do think they have a shot, but Ja Morant needs to be more consistently better with shooting. He's too reliant on his athleticism and his ways to get to the basket. That's not going to work out for him in the long run. He's just going to lose power and he's going to lose time and he's going to keep getting hurt. I think if he starts looking at that 3-point shot and really hones it in and gets it, I think you guys will be fine. Championship is going to be hard, especially how the West is right now. I don't know how that's going to work. I always go with Herbert in fantasy just because I think he's always going to have an MVP season, but no. Herbert, he's crazy sometimes, man, but they got a good team. I really don't know how Justin Herbert is going to do this year. I don't think he's going to be that crazy talented. I don't think they have the team that they had once before with him. His rookie year or his second year, they had a good team. I don't know where that team went. But, yeah, exactly. Keenan Allen, without him, it's going to be tough. But we'll see. Like I said earlier, in the past year, the Chargers have lost Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and Kellen Moore. They have replaced them with Laddie McConkey, DJ Clark, J.K. Dobbins, and Gus Edwards, Greg Roman, and Jim Harbaugh. Everything about that screams bad news for Herbert from game script to offensive weapons. Starting with the script, Herbert was averages 39 pass attempts per game in his NFL career, and an astonishing amount. Roman's offense have finished 28th or lower in teams' pass attempts in 9 of his 10 seasons as an NFL caller. In Harbaugh's 4 seasons with the 49ers, they ranked 29th or worse in pass attempts every single season. That's why I project Herbert for just 31.5 pass attempts per game this season. That would represent a career low, but also a higher number than we have historically seen from these coaches. So that's something. Still, we are talking about arguably the most prolific passer in the NFL has ever seen. In Herbert's first 4 seasons in the league as a 23-year-old, he threw 5,014 yards and 38 touchdowns. How do you rank a young quarterback with that type of production profile in this type of environment? Cautiously. Well, you kind of can't. You kind of just got to roll with the punches, really. There's a chance that Harbaugh and Roman completely change their stripes, or Herbert is widely efficient, and the drop in pass volume doesn't actually matter that much. He could finish at the top 12 QB this season with a handful of rushing touchdowns and career-high yards per attempt, and I wouldn't actually be that surprised. Just beware that the QB9 dynasty ranking is factoring in that possibility. Now, that's another thing. Chargers are going to run it a ton. Yeah, as the Ravens fan, Roman likes to run that. Bought over his running backs. Yeah, definitely with that, Aiden, I agree. He's going to run that ball big time. Herbert's projects as my QB 18 for the season, below 20 fantasy points per game. If that's the reality, the first month of the season, Herbert is going into fall in Dynasty. If Roman and Harbaugh have him handling off 30 times a game and we don't see a huge spike in efficiency, it would be hard to rank him ahead of Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love could pass him as well. Contenders will prefer Dak Prescott. Yeah, if I'm going to pick a fantasy quarterback, Justin Herbert, Dak Prescott, I'm taking Dak. You know why? Because not even from last year, just Dak has more weapons, better receivers, and he has better games when it comes to a lot of yards and shit like that. You just got a better overall offense in the Cowboys than you do with the Chargers. Just receiving-wise, they suck. And they're just going to be running the ball all day. Excuse me. All of this to say, I do believe there is both a buy and a sell opportunity on Herbert this offseason, depending on which narrative you believe. If you expect talent to win out this season and Herbert to produce like a fantasy starter, you can get him cheaper than he's been since his rookie year. But his current cost of not factoring in the plummet, we'll see if the Chargers go run away heavy and win. If that's what you're expecting, you should be selling low, because this isn't a low as he's going to get. Now, here are the updated Dynasty QB rankings. Hold up. Cassius, you said, do you see Bryce Young ever being a great QB? If he gets an O-line, hell yeah. If he gets an O-line, Bryce Young will be a good QB. He needs an O-line. He needs a better running back. And his wide receivers, other than freaking Adam Thielen, need to show up. If that happens, Bryce Young will be a pretty good quarterback. Not a great quarterback, not an average quarterback. I think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback, a solid QB if he has an O-line and those things. What's up, Steve? Thanks for joining the call. Jonathan Brooks might be all right. Yeah, but who really produced a lot last season? It was really Adam Thielen. That was really it. But Jonathan Brooks could be something. The top one quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. Of course, he's 28. Jalen Hurts, he had 28. I think he had a total of 448 points. Jalen Hurts, 26, 432. Josh Allen is 3, 28 years old, 422. Lamar Jackson's 4, 27 years old, 413. CJ Stroud is 5, 22 years old, 387. Man, he's high. Now he's got freaking Stephon Diggs. Oh, my God. Joe Burrow's 6, 27 years old, 398. Anthony Richardson is 7, 22, 374. Kyle Murray's 8, 26, 377. Justin Herbert's 9, 26, 333. Caleb Williams is 10, 22, 323. Jaden Daniels is 11, 22, 340. Brock Purdy's 12, 24, 347. Tua Tagovailoa is 26, 354. And Trevor Lawrence is 14, 24 years old and 354. You have, hold up. And then you have J.J. McCarthy is 15, 21, 325. Jordan Love is 16, 25, 324. Bryce Young is 17, 23, 303. Dak Prescott is 18, 31, 387. Drake May is 19, 22, 285. And 20, Will Levis is 25 and 329. So that's the dynasty position rankings right now. Top 20 I got right there. Lamar, the GOAT in fantasy. Yeah, if he stays healthy and he doesn't, and he actually throws the ball to the people that you have on your fantasy, then yeah, he's the GOAT in fantasy. But if he doesn't throw the people the ball and whatever, then he ain't the GOAT. He's got to do some more things for me, for him to say he's the GOAT in fantasy. Now, moving from the dynasty rankings, we're gonna just answer a couple questions when it comes to ESPN, and really what Stephen A. Smith said, which was one of the questions, was why he thinks that Luka and Kyrie's performance was just a bad game. I could agree with that on a scale from 1 to 10. I could give that a 9. I could say that, yeah, that was a bad game. The only reason why I don't give it a 10 out of 10, a rating of saying, yeah, that's a definitely bad game, is because Luka did have a really good game. He had over 25 points and a triple-double. Kyrie Irving really didn't do much, but he answered the call late in the game. Now, who would have thought that you would be saying Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves were winning that game last night? I did. I was the one that told you guys, like, they were winning. They were going to win. It wasn't even possible. They were going to win, man. It wasn't nothing. They were going to win and force a game 5 in Minnesota. Why? Because I don't think the Timberwolves are going to go out like that. You saw Karl Anthony Towns answered the call. 25 points, 20 points in the second half, went 4 of 5 from 3. Anthony Edwards had a gem of a game and really locked down the top 2 players. And that's what they got to do. And I didn't like Anthony Edwards talking a lot of crap. But I do agree with Stephen A. Smith when he says that I think it was just a bad game. But I think you left the door open. You left the door open for the Timberwolves. If they win game 5 in Minnesota, the game goes back to Dallas. If Dallas does not close them out in game 6, I'm telling you guys right now, if Dallas does not close out the Timberwolves in game 6, this series is going to be won by the Timberwolves in game 7 in Minnesota to take their ticket to the NBA Finals to face the Boston Celtics. That's what's going to happen. If that happens, I told you so. Now, our next question for the ESPN with First Take is really what I forgot. Where was this? There was something here. I don't know. Forgot which one I said, but yeah, so you have the Jaylen Brown one. With Jaylen Brown, man, who knows? Jaylen Brown is a little bit of a weird one. He's great on some occasions, and he's horrible on other occasions. I like Jaylen Brown as a player. I like him as a person. I believe he's a great guy. But Jaylen Brown sometimes does not show up when the games matter. I mean, he just did. In against the Pacers, he was all world. Showed up on big moments, small moments. He was huge, hitting big shots, dropping 40, doing what he had to do defensively. He was big time. Now, can he replicate that and become the most important player on the Celtics? Stephen A. Smith thinks so. I still think Jason Tatum is the most important player. Why? Because it's Jason Tatum. And this man has carried the Celtics on his back, and he's done with things that nobody really has done in a while. So I think the most important player is still Jason Tatum. Do I think the X factor for the team to do stuff in the playoffs is Jaylen Brown? Hell yeah. X factor big time is Jaylen Brown. But the most important player got to still be Jason Tatum. Got to roll with him. Can't roll with anybody else. Got to be Jason Tatum, no doubt. Now, we're going to move on from there. We're going to go to the NHL and NBA bracket. We're going to do a quick segment with this, and then we're going to end our show. First up, we're going to start with the NHL Western Conference Finals between the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers. Dallas is now up 2-1. Tonight is a game to see if Connor McDavid and the Oilers can tie up the series and force a game 5 back in Dallas. Or does Dallas go back home up 3-1 to try to close out the series to punch their ticket to the Stanley Cup Finals? We will see. I think Connor McDavid and the Oilers tie up the series tonight. I really do. I know on my TikTok I picked Dallas, but I really do think that the Oilers come back and tie up this series 2 games apiece. But I would not be surprised if Dallas does take a 3-1 series lead. And if that happens, Dallas is going to win in 5. It's not even going to happen. Now we move on from the Western Conference Finals. We go to the Eastern Conference Finals, where you have the Florida Panthers versus the New York Rangers and my New York Rangers. And what a series this has got. 3 straight overtime games, ladies and gentlemen. The Rangers won 2 last night. The Panthers won that third one with a bad play as Wheeler decided to hook somebody from scoring, and then they get a penalty, and it was a 5-on-4 advantage, and it was just easy pickings for the Panthers to score that goal to get the win 3-2 last night, to punch and tie this series 2 games apiece, heading back to Madison Square Garden. Again, like I said, I don't think we're losing any games in Madison Square Garden. If we do win Game 3, there's no pressure to close out the Panthers in Game 6, but it would be ideal to close them out in Game 6, so we do not have to play in a must-win game in Madison Square Garden, even though I wouldn't mind playing a must-win game in Madison Square Garden, just barring the fact of how well we've played at Madison Square Garden. I would not be surprised if we're able to shut them down. But, man, we've beaten the Panthers, and the Panthers, we can get the win in Madison Square Garden being up 3-2, and then get the win in Florida and take them out in 6 games. But I said 7 games for my Rangers to win, so we will see about that. But I'm going to take the Rangers winning in 7, and I got the Stars winning in 6. Other than that, guys, we will be moving on to the NBA playoffs, and that will be pretty much it. There's really not much to talk about because the East is already done. We had the Pacers get taken down 4-0 in a gut-wrenching game again. Yet again, the Pacers lose a tough one again. They had it. They were up. They were doing right things, and they could not get the job done. I don't understand it. I don't get it. The Pacers had 3 games this series against the Celtics where they should have won, and they lost. And you could say, all right, Tyrese Halliburton wasn't there. But, man, they were playing really well even without Tyrese, and they still lost. So kudos to the Celtics, but the Celtics might have been the easiest run to ever get to the playoffs. You had Joel Embiid and the 76ers not fully healthy. You had the Knicks go take on the Pacers, and the Knicks weren't fully healthy taking on the Pacers. You had the Pacers taking on the Bucks, and the Bucks weren't healthy. Then you had the Cavs playing against the Magic. Cavs were healthy. Magic was healthy. Cavs won. Cavs weren't even fully healthy in that Magic series. Then you had the Heat versus the Celtics. Heat weren't fully healthy. They didn't have no JImmy Butler. Then you have Celtics versus Cavs. Cavs had no Donovan Mitchell 2 straight games. And then you move Pacers, Knicks. Pacers were all healthy. Knicks had nobody. And then you move Celtics, Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton gets hurt. And then you got Pacers got got injuries now. And the Celtics have a one-way ticket right to the thing. Bro, they lost 2 games this whole post-playoffs. They've won 12 out of the 14 that they've played. That's ridiculous, man. That's just ridiculous. And playing quality teams that just don't have their stars. No JImmy Butler in the Miami Heat series. No Donovan Mitchell and no Tyrese. It is what it is. It is what it is. Yo, what's up, Blue? How you been, man? Appreciate commenting on my thing. Don't forget to share, like, and follow. And please, that would be greatly appreciated. Now we move on from the Eastern Conference Finals. We move to the Western Conference Finals, which is tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, I know they can't control who they play, Aiden, but the point is, the matter of the fact is everybody was hurt. That's what I'm saying. I don't care about those teams were good. The Heat were good. They were good enough to play and make the Celtics do stuff. The Cavs were good enough to play and make the Celtics do stuff. The Pacers were definitely good enough to beat the Celtics. They just couldn't close the door. So I'm just saying that, yeah. Oh, no. The Celtics are going to get whooped by Dallas or Minnesota, no matter who gets there. It's not going to even be close. Now, Minnesota and Dallas is a crazy series. Dallas is up 3-1. I'm the only one in the world that seems that thinks that Minnesota can come back in this series and win in Game 7. I think they're the only team that could do this. This is on TNT tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget to check it out. It's going to be hell to pay. It's back in Minnesota. If Minnesota does lose, it's going to be because Cat did not show up or Anthony Edwards did not get the job done or their team in general just did not do what they were supposed to do. But if they do win Game 5 And it's their game 6 in Dallas. Dallas must close them out in game 6. If they do not close them out in game 6, the Timberwolves will win this series in 7 games and come back from a 3-0 deficit for the first time in NBA history to punch their ticket to play the Boston Celtics in the NBA Finals in Boston. That's where my look is. I think Luka and Kyrie, they deserve it big time, but Anthony Edwards and Cat, if they come back from this deficit and win this series, there's going to be a lot of discussion on who's the best player in the world right now, because you beat the other guy that could be considered the best player in the world, Luka. It came back from 3-0, and then let's say you beat the Celtics, the number 1 team in the NBA this season. That's something to say. We'll see. If Ant comes back from 3-0, it'll be the first time ever. Yes, if the Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves come back from a 3-0 deficit, it would be the first time ever in the finals or playoff history in the NBA history that any team has ever came back from a 3-0 deficit. That would be something. I thought the Lakers could have did it against the Nuggets. They kind of should have not even been in that situation, if I'm being honest with you guys. But we were. I thought the only person in the world thought that actually the Lakers could come back from a 3-0 deficit, because I'm just that type of fan. Towns played really well. Yeah, he was the difference maker. If he doesn't play well, they suck. So I think that was the biggest game he could show up in, and now he's got to keep showing up. If not, the Timberwolves ain't going nowhere. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it for my show here on the Fire Sports Pod, where everything we do here is fire. I'm going to stay on the TikTok Live for a little bit longer as we wrap up my show here on the Fire Sports Pod. This is Season 3, Episode 25. I'm your host, Zack Jackson, here on the Fire Sports Pod, where everything we do here is fire. I appreciate all the support, guys, out there. Again, we will have our next show on Friday, which will be Season 3, Episode 26. And I can't wait for that. We're going to have more stuff. We'll see if Dallas could close it out in Minnesota, or will Minnesota force a Game 6 in Dallas, and that will probably be on Friday, I believe. No, if not Friday, it would be Saturday. So can't wait for that. That's going to be something. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I'll catch you guys on Friday, and peace out. Have a great rest of your week. Peace out, guys.